What if I told you that sometimes the only way to see who people really are is to disappear completely? To remove yourself from the equation and watch what happens when they think you're gone forever. My name is Layla, and this is the story of how I faked my own death to expose the people who claimed to love me, and what I discovered was far worse than anything I could have imagined. It was January 2020. I was 26 years old, living in Islamabad, working as a graphic designer for an advertising agency. I'd built a decent life for myself. Good job, my own apartment, financial independence. But there was one part of my life that was slowly destroying me. My family. I came from what looked like a perfect family on the outside. My father, Rashid, was a successful businessman who owned a chain of electronics stores across Rawalpindi and Islamabad. My mother, Nadia, was a socialite who cared more about her reputation than her daughter. And my younger brother, Usman, was the golden child who could do no wrong. Me, I was the responsible one, the one who was expected to handle everything while receiving nothing in return. From the time I started working in 2016 after my degree from NUSD, I'd been financially supporting my family. Not because they needed it. My father's business was doing well, but because they expected it. Layla, we need $50,000 for Usman's new laptop. Layla, contribute to the household expenses. You live here too. Even though I had my own apartment and only visited on weekends. Layla, your cousin's wedding is coming up. The family needs to give a good gift. You should pay for it. Every month, I'd give them at least 70 to 80,000 rupees. Money I'd earned through my own hard work. Money that should have been going into my savings, my future. And what did I get in return? Criticism, complaints, comparisons. Why aren't you married yet? Your younger cousin just got engaged. Your brother is doing so well in his business degree. Why couldn't you have been more like him? You've gained weight. No wonder you're still single. I endured it because I thought family was supposed to be forever. That blood was thicker than water. That eventually, they'd appreciate me. I was so wrong. The final straw came on March 10th, 2020. It was my birthday, my 26th birthday. I'd been dropping hints for weeks. Maybe we could have dinner together as a family. Maybe they'd remember this time. Maybe, just once, they'd make me feel valued. I called my mother that morning. Ammi, it's my birthday today. Are we doing anything? Oh, is it? I completely forgot. Beta, I'm busy today. Your father has a business dinner and Usman has exams. Maybe next week we can do something. Next week, like my birthday could just be rescheduled. I hung up and sat in my apartment, staring at the wall. 26 years old, working hard, giving everything, and my own family couldn't even remember my birthday. Then my phone rang. It was Usman. My heart lifted. Maybe he remembered. Appy, I need 20,000 rupees urgently. My friends and I are planning a trip to Nathia Gali this weekend. Can you transfer it today? Not happy birthday, not how are you, just I need money. It's my birthday, Usman. Oh, yeah, happy birthday, so about the money. I hung up, and something inside me snapped, not dramatically, not suddenly, just broke quietly, completely. I looked around my apartment, at the life I'd built, the career I'd worked for, the independence I'd earned, and I realized something. I was surrounded by people who only valued me for what I could give them, not for who I was. My family saw me as an ATM machine, a resource to be exploited. And I was tired, so incredibly tired of fighting for scraps of affection from people who should have loved me unconditionally. That's when the idea came, dark, desperate, but what if? What if I disappeared? What if I wasn't around anymore? What would they do? Would they finally realize what they'd lost? Would they feel any remorse, any guilt? Or would they just move on, replace me with another source of money? I needed to know. I needed to see who they really were when I wasn't there to use anymore. So I started planning something insane, something that would answer all my questions once and for all. I was going to fake my own death. I spent the next 2 weeks planning everything carefully. This wasn't going to be some amateur attempt. If I was going to do this, it had to be believable, convincing, complete. First, I needed help. I couldn't do this alone, so I reached out to my best friend, Zara. We'd been friends since university. She was the only person who knew how bad my family situation really was. I met her on March 25th, 2020 at a cafe in F7. I need to tell you something, and you're going to think I'm crazy. What's going on? I took a deep breath. I'm going to fake my death, and I need your help. She stared at me for a long moment. You're serious? Completely serious. Why? Because I need to know. I need to see who they really are when they think I'm gone. Whether they actually cared about me at all, or if I was just useful to them. Zara was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Tell me the plan." Over the next hour, I laid it out. I'd stage a car accident. Not a real one, obviously, but believable enough. There'd be a vehicle found at the bottom of a ravine on Murree Road. My phone would be in it. Some of my belongings. But no body would be recovered immediately due to the severity of the crash and terrain. Where will you actually be? Zara asked. Your family's farmhouse in Chakwal, the one that's empty most of the year. I'll stay there, off the grid. No phone, no contact with anyone except you. For how long? 2 weeks, maybe 3, long enough to see their real reaction. This is insane, Layla. I know, but I need to do this. I need to know the truth. Zara finally nodded. Okay, I'll help you, but promise me if things get too dark, if this becomes too much, you'll stop. I promise. We shook hands. The plan was set. On April 5th, 2020, Layla would die, and we'd see who actually mourned her. The next week was surreal. I was preparing for my own death while living my normal life, going to work, talking to my family, pretending everything was fine. On April 1st, I made sure my affairs were in order, not because I was actually dying, but because I needed it to look real. I wrote a will, left everything to my parents, updated my bank information to make them beneficiaries. On April 3rd, I withdrew a significant amount of cash, 50,000 rupees, money I'd need while I was dead. I also packed a bag with clothes, essentials, books, took it to Zara's place so it wouldn't be found in my apartment. On April 4th, the day before the accident, I did something I'd never done before. I wrote letters, one to my mother, one to my father, one to Usman, not suicide notes, just letters expressing how I felt, how their treatment had affected me, how much I'd given and how little I'd received. I sealed them and gave them to Zara. Only give these to them if they actually seem to care, if they seem genuinely devastated. Otherwise, keep them. You really think they won't care? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. April 5th, 2020 arrived, the day I would disappear. That morning, I went to work as usual, acted normal. At 6 p.m., I left the office, told my colleagues I was heading to Murree for the weekend, alone, to clear my head. I drove to a prearranged spot on Murree Road where Zara was waiting with her cousin, who owed her a favor and wouldn't ask questions. We'd rented an old car specifically for this. Cheap, disposable. At 8 p.m., in a carefully chosen spot with no CCTV cameras, we staged it. The car was sent rolling down a ravine. My phone was inside. My purse. My ID. The damage looked catastrophic. Then I got into Zara's car, and we drove to Chakwal, to the farmhouse where I'd spend the next few weeks as a ghost. By 9 p.m. on April 5th, 2020, Layla was officially dead. The farmhouse in Chakwal was isolated, perfect for hiding. It had basic amenities, electricity, water, internet connection, but no neighbors nearby, no one to see me. Zara stayed with me that first night. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. "No, but I need to know." "How will we know what's happening?" "You'll go back tomorrow, keep your ear to the ground. They'll call you eventually. You were my best friend. They'll want to know if I said anything to you, if I seemed suicidal. Just tell me everything. Don't filter it." "This is going to hurt, Layla. Whatever you discover, it's going to hurt." "I know, but not knowing hurts more." The next morning, April 6th, Zara left, and I was alone, completely alone. No phone. No contact with the outside world except through Zara's updates. The first day was the hardest. I kept wondering if I'd made a huge mistake. What if they actually did care? What if this destroyed them? What if I was being unfair? But then I remembered. 26 years of being taken for granted, being criticized, being valued only for money. They'd had countless chances to show they loved me, and they'd failed every single time. At 7 p.m. that evening, Zara called the farmhouse landline. They found the car. My heart stopped, and police were called. The car is destroyed. Your phone and belongings were inside. They're treating it as a serious accident. They've informed your family. How did they react? There was a pause, a long, heavy pause. Layla, your mother screamed, but not the way you'd expect. She was screaming about how they'd handle this, about what people would say. Your father was on the phone immediately with someone, I think a lawyer, and Usman. Usman asked if your bank accounts would be frozen. I felt something cold settle in my chest. That's it. That's their reaction. They haven't cried yet, at least not when I was there. They're more concerned with logistics, with managing the situation. I sat down, feeling numb. I see. I'm sorry, Layla. Don't be. This is exactly why I needed to know. By April 8th, 2 days after my death, the story had spread. Zara kept me updated through daily calls. There's going to be a prayer service tomorrow at your parents' house, she told me. People are coming to pay condolences. How are they acting? Publicly, devastated. Your mother is playing the grieving parent perfectly. Your father is the stoic businessman holding it together. Usman is the traumatized younger brother. And privately, Zara hesitated. I went to their house today, told them I wanted to help with arrangements. Layla, I overheard them talking. They were in the study. They didn't know I was nearby. What did they say? Your father was talking about your bank accounts, saying they need to claim your savings quickly before it gets complicated. Your mother was worried about what would happen to the monthly money you used to give them. And Usman said, and I quote, "At least now we don't have to listen to her complaining anymore." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. He said that. I'm so sorry. Don't be. I needed to hear this. What about the prayer service? Are they actually organizing it? Yes, but Layla, they're keeping it small, minimal expense. Your mother was literally complaining about the cost of the food for your memorial service. I laughed, a bitter, broken laugh. Of course she was. That night, I cried, not because I missed them, but because I finally understood the truth. I'd spent 26 years trying to earn love from people who were incapable of giving it, who saw me as nothing more than a convenient resource. They weren't mourning me. They were mourning the income stream, the free money, the person they could manipulate. But they weren't mourning the daughter, the sister, the human being. Because to them, I'd never been that. I'd only been useful. April 9th was my prayer service. Obviously, I couldn't attend my own memorial, but Zara went, and she recorded everything on her phone. That evening, she drove to Chakwal, brought me food, and her phone with all the videos. You don't have to watch this, she warned. It's brutal. I need to see it. I watched the videos, all of them. There were about 40 people at the service, family members, father's business associates, some of my old colleagues. Everyone was somber, respectful, saying kind things about me. She was such a good girl, so hardworking, so dedicated to her family. But then I watched the video Zara had taken secretly, after most guests had left, just family members remaining. My mother was talking to her sister, my aunt. At least now we won't have to deal with her constant questions about appreciation and respect. She was becoming so demanding lately. My father was with his brother. The timing is unfortunate. We were counting on her salary contributions for Usman's master's program abroad. Now we'll have to use our own savings. And Usman was with his friends who'd come to pay respects. One of them said, "I'm sorry about your sister, man." Usman shrugged. Honestly, it's whatever. We weren't that close. She was always judging my life choices. I paused the video, stared at his face. My younger brother, the one I'd helped pay for education, for trips, for every little want he'd ever had. He didn't care. None of them did. "There's more," Zara said quietly. "The lawyer came to discuss your estate." She showed me another video. My father and a lawyer in the study. "So her savings, her accounts, everything goes to us as listed in her will?" My father was asking. "Yes, approximately 12 lakh rupees in savings, plus her provident fund from work. Plus her car's value, all told around 20 lakhs. Good, we'll need that for Usman's education. Not our poor daughter, not we'd give anything to have her back. Just, good, we needed that money." I turned off the phone. I've seen enough. On April 12th, a week after my death, something unexpected happened. Zara called and her voice was strange, nervous. "Layla, someone's asking questions." "What do you mean?" "Your colleague, Hina, from your office. She's not buying the accident story." My stomach dropped. Hina was sharp, observant, one of the few people at work who actually knew me well. "What is she saying?" "She's been talking to police, questioning the timeline. She said you weren't the type to drive to Murree alone at night, that you'd mentioned several times you hated that road. She's pushing for a more thorough investigation." This was a complication I hadn't anticipated. "What's happening?" "Police are talking about recovering, about searching for the body more thoroughly. If they do that, if they bring in experts, if this becomes a bigger investigation, they'll find out there's no body, that the accident was staged." "Yes." I sat down, mind racing. I'd planned for many things, but not for someone actually caring enough to question my death, not for someone looking deeper. "What do I do?" I asked. "You have two choices. You can extend this, go deeper into hiding, stay dead for months or even years, or you can end it now. Come back, before this spirals into something you can't control." I thought about what I'd learned, the truth about my family, the confirmation of every suspicion I'd ever had. I'd gotten what I came for. But there was a third option, one I hadn't considered. "Zara, what if I came back, but not the same?" "What do you mean?" "What if Layla came back, but not as their daughter, not as their ATM, as someone completely different, someone who knows exactly who they are and makes them face what they've done?" A confrontation. A reckoning. On April 15th, 2020, 10 days after my death, I made my move, but not the way anyone expected. First, I called the police from the farmhouse landline. Anonymous tip. "The accident on Murree Road. The girl, Layla, she's not dead. The whole thing was staged." Then I called my workplace. "This is Layla Khan. I'm alive. There's been a situation. I need to speak with HR and management immediately." Finally, I called my father's number, from the landline. He picked up on the second ring. "Hello." "Hi, Abu. It's me. Layla, I'm alive." Complete silence. Then what? How? This is some sick joke. "It's not a joke. I'm alive. I staged the accident, and I heard everything. Every word you said, every conversation. I know exactly how you felt about my death. And now I'm coming home, and we're going to talk, all of us, tonight." I hung up before he could respond. 2 hours later, I was back in Islamabad. Zara drove me to my parents' house. It was 7 p.m. on April 15th when I walked through that door for the first time in 10 days. The look on their faces was something I'll never forget. Shock, confusion, and then slowly anger. Not relief, not joy, anger. "What have you done?" my mother hissed. "Do you have any idea what you've put us through?" "What I've put you through?" I asked calmly. "Interesting. Tell me, what exactly did I put you through?" "The embarrassment, the questions, people thinking our family had problems, your funeral prayers." "Funeral prayers that you complained about the cost of, that you kept small to save money." She froze. "How did you?" "I know everything. I heard everything, every conversation, every complaint, every true feeling you had about my death." I sat down in their living room. Zara stood by the door, both as support and as witness. Let me tell you what I learned in the 10 days I was dead, I began. I learned that my mother's first concern was losing my monthly contributions. I learned that my father immediately thought about how to access my bank accounts. I learned that my brother said, and I quote, "At least now we don't have to listen to her complaining anymore." Usman's face went pale. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You all did. Because that's how you've always seen me. Not as a daughter, not as a sister. As a resource, money, convenience. Someone who existed to make your lives easier. That's not true, my father said, but his voice lacked conviction. Really? Then tell me. In the week I was dead, did any of you cry for me? Did any of you say you missed me? That you wished you'd treated me better? Or did you just worry about money? Silence, heavy, damning silence. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. I'm moving back to my apartment. I'm cutting off all financial support effective immediately. You'll get nothing from me, not money, not time, not emotional labor, nothing. But we're family, my mother started. No, family is supposed to love each other, support each other, value each other. You've never done any of that for me, so we're not family. We're just people who share DNA. You can't do this, my father said. What will people say? I don't care what people say anymore. For 26 years I cared, I tried, I sacrificed, and it was never enough. So now I'm choosing me, my happiness, my peace. I stood up. I'm leaving now. Don't contact me unless it's an emergency. And by emergency, I mean actual life-threatening situations. Not we need money. Not what will relatives think. Actual emergencies. Are we clear? They didn't answer, just stared at me like I was a stranger. Good, because I was. The old Layla, the one who would do anything for their approval, was dead, and she wasn't coming back. The next few days were chaos. The story spread quickly. Layla Khan faked her death. Family drama in Islamabad. Girl stages accident to expose family. Some people judged me, called me dramatic, attention-seeking, cruel, but I didn't care. Because the people whose opinions mattered, the people who actually knew me, understood. Hina from work called me on April 17th. I knew something was off. I'm glad you're okay. And I'm glad you got your answers, even if they weren't what you hoped for. Thanks for questioning it. You almost blew my cover. Good. You deserved better than that family. My extended relatives had mixed reactions. Some defended my parents. Some privately messaged me saying they'd always seen how I was treated, that they were proud of me for standing up. But the most important thing was how I felt. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. The weight of trying to earn love from people who couldn't give it was gone. I could breathe. I also had to deal with legal consequences. Police questioned me about filing a false report, but since no actual resources had been wasted on a search, and I came forward before any major investigation, they let it go with a warning. My workplace was understanding. I took 2 weeks off to deal with everything. When I returned on May 1st, I was different, stronger, clearer. By June 2020, I'd moved to a new apartment, changed my number, limited contact with my family to absolute minimum. They tried reaching out a few times, always with requests or complaints. I ignored them all. It's now October 2020. 6 months since I faked my death. 6 months since I discovered the truth about my family. People ask if I regret it, if I think I went too far, if I feel guilty for what I put them through. My answer is always the same. No, because I didn't put them through anything. They put themselves through it. Their reaction to my death, their words, their priorities, those were their choices. All I did was create a situation where they could show their true selves. Do I miss them? Sometimes. I miss the idea of what family is supposed to be, but I don't miss the reality of what mine was. The constant criticism, the financial exploitation, the lack of appreciation or respect. I've built a new life, surrounded myself with people who value me for who I am, not what I can give them. Zara, obviously. My colleagues who became real friends. A therapist who's helping me process years of emotional manipulation. Last week, my mother called. First time in months. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity got the better of me. Beta, can we talk? What about? I've been thinking about what you said, about how we treated you, and I think maybe you were right. We took you for granted. For a moment, I felt hope. Maybe they'd actually learned something. Maybe they'd changed. Then she continued. So I was thinking maybe we could start over, have dinner next week, and if things go well, maybe you could help with Usman's semester fees. They're quite high, and I hung up, blocked the number, because nothing had changed. They still saw me as a resource. They'd just learned to fake remorse to access it. That's when I knew for certain. I'd made the right choice, walking away, choosing myself, building a life where I was valued. So what did I learn from faking my own death? What's the real takeaway from this extreme, dramatic experiment? I learned that people's true character shows in how they treat you when they think you're gone. Not in their Facebook tributes or their public grief, but in their private conversations, their real priorities, their honest feelings. I learned that you can't make someone love you. No amount of sacrifice, money, or effort will create love where it doesn't exist. My family didn't love me because I wasn't giving enough. They didn't love me because they weren't capable of it. I learned that sometimes walking away is the only option. Not every relationship can be fixed. Not every family deserves your loyalty. Some bonds are better broken than maintained. I learned that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. For 26 years, I'd set myself on fire to keep them warm, and they never once appreciated the light. They just complained when the flames got too low. Most importantly, I learned that death isn't just about stopping breathing. There are other ways to die. Slowly, quietly, while you're still alive. I'd been dying for years under the weight of their expectations and criticisms. Faking my death gave me the chance to actually live. To everyone who's ever felt taken for granted by their family. To everyone who's given everything and received nothing. To everyone who's wondered if they're being too sensitive or too demanding. You're not. Your feelings are valid. Your pain is real, and you deserve better. You don't have to fake your death to discover the truth, but you do have to be willing to see it, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because the truth, no matter how painful, is better than living in a beautiful lie. The truth gives you options, choices, freedom. I faked my death to discover who my family really was. What I found broke my heart, but it also set me free. They thought losing me was a minor inconvenience. They were wrong, because the person they really lost wasn't the dead Layla. It was the living one, the one who would have done anything for them. That person is gone, and she's never coming back. And you know what? I'm okay with that, more than okay. I'm free. I'm happy. I'm alive. For the first time in my life, I'm actually alive. And that's worth everything.